Hello BookTube! Welcome to Lizzie Faye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth, and I decided I would go ahead and do another Friday Reads. I did a Friday Reads 2 weeks ago when I was getting ready to go out of state to Oklahoma for 10 days, and I got back on Tuesday, and I thought I would just go ahead and show you what I read while I was gone, basically what audiobooks I listened to and the few pages that I read in print on the airplane, and tell you a little bit about what I hope to finish up before the end of the month. So because of my trip, this has really been a very low reading month for me. I am going to be doing good to get 8 books read this month, including audio and print, because of my trip, and I just didn't have a lot of reading time. And even though I was able to finish one complete audiobook and start a couple of others, there was a lot of times when I was at my house working and there were people there, and I had a lot of good help, and I had family members and community members, hometown people that came out and helped and different things. So it was wonderful, but there just wasn't a lot of alone time to listen to audiobooks, and there wasn't a lot of time to just sit and read. Before I left, I was listening to the audiobook of The Valley of Horses by Jean M. Auel. This is the second book in the Earth Children series. It's the sequel to Clan of the Cave Bear, and I enjoyed this book for the most part, although I have to say by about the last third, things started getting pretty hot and heavy, and it was just very, very sexual throughout the rest of the book. As I was finishing it up, I was kind of curious to see what other people were saying about it, and so I scrolled down through some of the reviews, and there were people that were calling it caveman porn, and I can agree with that, really. The first 2/3 of the book were primarily about Ayla, who is our main character in Clan of the Cave Bear, and if you don't want to hear any spoilers, if you've never read Clan of the Cave Bear, you can mute it while I'm holding this up. So during the first 2/3 of the book, we have the story of Ayla, and she has left the clan and is now surviving on her own. And that part of the story is very interesting. I really enjoyed seeing how she made new discoveries, how she was able to get her fire going, and how she was able to first ride a horse, and just a lot of stuff like that. So that was really good. And then paralleling that, we have the story of Jondalar and Thonalin, who are 2 brothers. They are young men who have set off on an adventure to see the countryside. It's kind of a coming of age trip for them, and they are out to discover themselves and discover new parts of the world. And you kind of figure from the very beginning that they are eventually going to intercept Ayla, and so but you don't really know what the circumstances will be exactly. And Jondalar and Thonalin encounter other peoples as they go along, and other tribes, and so that is interesting. The whole thing is very slow moving, though. It is a very time-consuming read, and there's a lot of detail. Some people say that they didn't really like how slow it moved. But if you like an epic journey, then, perhaps this is for you. Now, when Jondalar and Ayla find each other, he's injured. But once his injuries are healed, it's pretty much caveman porn, as some of the other reviewers said. And, it's a little blush-worthy at times, and I'm not sure I needed to know all that graphic detail about their physical relationship. I don't think that was really necessary. And I mean, it could have been a great book just to know that, they found each other and they mated, and, what they decided to do from there and so forth. And it's not that it's trashy, but, I mean, all of it is rather innocent, kind of, Blue Lagoon sort of style, I guess, although I never really read that, I just saw the movie. But it's just not necessary, I don't think, for the story. I thought it was a really decent book leading up to that. Anyway, I'm still going to read some more of the series. I really am interested to know what's going to happen next. Hopefully now we've gotten all that newlywed sex out of the way, and we can just go on and get back to more of the survival story of it all. I don't know, we'll see. But the next book is The Mammoth Hunters. I do have it checked out on audio, so I hope to get to that by the 1st of the month. I listened to The Throne of Fire on Playaway. It's by Rick Riordan. It is the second book in the Kane Chronicles, which is the sequel to Red Pyramid. I listened to the Red Pyramid and also read it in print very recently, and so now I think I'm going to have to do the same with this one. Like Red Pyramid, it's very fast-paced, and there's just a lot of stuff going on, a lot of coming and going, and since I have the print copy, I do plan to go ahead and read this at some point. I don't know how soon I'll get to it. I really did enjoy the story, but there were a lot of details I missed on audio just because it was going so fast. Another audiobook I downloaded to my Hoopla account on my Kindle is Wedding Ring by Emily Richards. This is another one I think I prefer to finish in print. And most of the time I would prefer to listen to a big book on audio rather than read it in print because I'm a lot slower in print. But I'm finding that I'm not enjoying the narrator. Because most of the cast in this book are female, she's trying to vary the voices enough so that you can distinguish between them, but there's a couple of the females that I just don't like how she voices them. I just don't picture them as sounding that way. I just don't think they would sound that way. That's not how I see them. So I think I would enjoy it a lot more if I just pick up the print book and finish it. However, I do really want to finish this by the end of the month, so I may go ahead and finish the audio, and then, like with the Throne of Fire, I will go back and read this in its entirety in print at a later time. Another book I've started on audio again is Death Cure by James Dashner. I have listened to this before, but I didn't really remember much about it at all. I have the print copy that I'm kind of following along a little bit in, but I really just needed audiobooks for my trip, and so when I finished Throne of Fire, I went ahead and started this one because this is one that I could carry around in my pocket. It's on Playaway. The Wedding Ring book I had to listen to when I had access to internet. So I would listen to this in the evening when I was at my brother's house and I was shredding paper and going through some of my mom's papers and things like that. So that's when I listened to this one. And then the Death Cure I listened to when I was driving and when I was working by myself at the house. Again, I don't remember a lot of this. I remember just bits and pieces, so I'm really glad that I am listening to this again before I go on and read Kill Order. So yeah, this is good. I'm just realizing how little I remember of it, so that's kind of disturbing. But I'm enjoying it so far. I'm about half done with it. I hope to finish this by the end of the month. Another book I started before my trip, and then I checked it back into the library because I didn't want to take it with me, and I have just checked it out again yesterday, is Bot Wars by J.V. Cade. This is a science fiction dystopian book about futuristic United States, now called the United Districts. This starts out after a war where the robots have become so intelligent that they have demanded equal rights, and so they rebelled and started a war. Now at this point the war is over, but our main character's father is missing. His brother has lost a leg, but him and his brother are living together. They're still hoping to find their dad, and so we're going from there. I only read a little bit of this before I left on my trip, and it was really good. I was really enjoying it. It's one of our Sunshine State books for this year, so I'm hoping to finish this by the end of the month, and if I don't get it finished by the end of the month, I will keep reading until I get it finished. And then a book I started on the plane and read it both on the plane to Oklahoma and on the way back, and I've since then read several more pages as I've had time to sit down. This is the first in the Megan Clark series, which is a series about a mystery reading group. It's by D.R. Meredith, and I'm reading this for the Book One Cozy Mysteries Book Club that is hosted by Di on our Mystery Madness Goodreads channel, and this was the selection for September, and I didn't get it read, so I am reading it in October, and I am a little over halfway done, and I definitely plan to finish this before the end of the month. And then I read a children's picture book today. This is called Waiting for the Biblioburrow, and it's by Monica Brown. This one I first saw on Acosta's channel, and it's just delightful. It is based on a real librarian who is from Colombia. He travels with his two burros loaded down with books to remote villages, and this story is about a young girl who is from one of those remote villages, and she has only one book. her teacher, who originally taught her to read and write, has given her a book and then has moved away. And so this little girl has read her one book so many times that she's memorized it. And then one day the bibliobureau shows up in her village. Her and the other town's children are allowed to borrow books from the bibliobureau, and then he says he will be back in a few months and they can return those books and get more. And she's just thrilled. He also encourages her to write her own story. So while he's gone, not only does she read all of her books many times, she writes her own book and then gives it to him at the end of the story. And then he was able to take that story and share it with children in other villages. So it's just really a heartwarming story. It's wonderful. One of the really neat things about it is that there are almost 20 Spanish words woven throughout the story, and then there's a glossary at the end that gives the English translation of those words. Now, they're woven into the text in such a way that you can pretty much figure out what they mean, but in case there's any doubt, you can go to the back and you can see what the English translation is of those words. And I just think that's wonderful. I love this book, and so I would definitely recommend it to anyone who has children who love to read, or you're trying to instill a love of reading into them, and I think this is great. The illustrations are also very beautiful. The illustrations are by John Para, and it's just really nice. And there's the back. I really enjoyed the illustrations. Here it talks about her dreaming up her own stories. It's just really sweet. So these are the 4 books that I am currently reading or listening to, and my goal is to finish as many of these as I can before the end of the month. I've only got a couple of days left, but that is my goal, and then I will do a separate TBR video for November. I am currently right now trying to figure out what I still need to read to finish the Pop Sugar Ultimate Reading Challenge and also the Around the Year in 52 Books Challenge, and so I'm going to load up on those books for November and try to get as many of those read as I can, because in December I would like to read some holiday books. So I'm kind of mapping out the rest of my year in reading, and this is the rest of my October. I didn't really read any scary books for October. That's not really my thing, so I just continued on with what I felt like reading, and this is it. So that's all for this video. I've got a Try a Chapter Tag video coming up very soon for you, as well as my November TBR and my October wrap-up. So that's it for this video. Hope you're having a great day. Read a good book, and God bless you.